Good morning. Time to get into Lynyrd Skynyrd as we continue our discussion of Southern rock and roll. So far, there's should be a video posted on the Allman Brothers Band, so let's go into probably the most popular band when it comes to history of Southern rock, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Just a few things to go over. Of course, let's go over the members of the band. You got Ronnie Van Zant, the vocalist, Leon Wilkinson, the bass player. You have Mr. Alan Collins on guitar, Gary Rosington on guitar. You've got Steve Gaines on guitar. You've got Billy Powell on piano/keyboard. Then, of course, you have Artemis Pyle on drums. Just a few things. They got their name from their high school PE teacher, a guy by the name of Lynyrd Skynyrd, who they evidently had some differences with when they were in high school because evidently their school had a real strict policy against long hair, and of course the guys in the band didn't really like that, especially Gary Rosington, who actually quit high school because of that, because he was told to cut his hair, and he's like, I'm gonna forget it, I'm just gonna fly the coop, I don't want to be here because of I want to have long hair. So he quits high school because of his long hair. Whoa. So just a couple of things. They actually get their name Lynyrd Skynyrd in 1969. Of course, they are from Jacksonville, Florida. In 1971 or 1972, they do some recording at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Of course, that is the famous Fame Studios that would have artists such as Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin on it. Also, Duane Allman. Don't forget that Duane Allman was a session guitarist there for a while. So when they are recording there in 1971 and 72, that is, of course, when they come in contact with Duane Allman. In the song Sweet Home Alabama, there's that line, well, Muscle Shoals has got the Swampers. Well, that deals with Fame Studios because the house band for that studio was called the Swampers. In 1973, they released Freebird, which is possibly, depending on who you ask, maybe the most famous song in rock and roll history. Stairway to Heaven's probably the right answer for that, but, depending on who you ask, Freebird is definitely up there. Probably has the most famous guitar solo, I would guess. Once again, some people will definitely have some arguments, when it comes to that, but it is certainly a pretty killer guitar solo. Freebird is written as a tribute to Duane Allman, who of course, as we know, dies in 1971 of a motorcycle accident in his hometown of Macon, Georgia. 1977, the band leaves a concert at the Greenville Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina. They're actually flying to Baton Rouge. They've got a show that they need to make it to, and over Mississippi, the plane crashes. There's some issues with fuel. I think it had low fuel. I don't know how you don't check that before it leaves, but evidently that's what happens, supposedly. Yes. And when that happens, you have many people die, actually in Galesburg, Mississippi. Ronnie Van Zant dies, the lead singer. Stephen Gaines, the guitar player, who's really, really young, he also dies, along with his sister Cassie Gaines. Cassie Gaines is a member of the Honkettes, I believe was the name of their backup singing group. They had, I believe, 3 backup singers. Yep, Leslie Hawkins, Cassie Gaines, and JoJo Billingsley, and they were collectively known as the Honkettes. They definitely, they're their backup singers, and one of them, Cassie Gaines, passes away also in that fiery plane crash. And the members of the band who actually do survive are banged up pretty bad. So, differences, musically speaking, with these guys. How are they different than the Allman Brothers? Well, I'll just be honest with you, they are more commercial than the Allman Brothers. Now, commercial is a very, very loose term because, it's early 1970s, early mid-1970s. I'll put it to you like this. Whenever Lynyrd Skynyrd went on stage, I fully get the idea that what they were going to play that night is already preconceived and it's already figured out. Their set list is in stone. Whenever you have a band like the Allman Brothers Band, everything is going to be flexible. There's going to be a lot of improv. There's going to be a lot of improvising. Sorry. There's going to be a lot of flexibility to song form and things like that. The Allman Brothers are deeply rooted in the blues and other African American styles. They have a definite influence when it comes to Motown and what else is, and everything else that will be popular on the radio in the late 1960s, early 1970s. You don't get that sense as much with Lynyrd Skynyrd. You don't get as much of a blues connection with them. If you got anything, you got more of a roots rock and more of a folk rock. If you want to get into it like that, you would have more of that type of a connection. Which band is more talented? They're both really, really talented. Skynyrd wrote great songs, and they had good musicians in the band. The Allman Brothers wrote great songs, and they had really, really, really good musicians in the band. I don't know, potato, potato. They're both great. I'm a little partial to the Allman Brothers because of the improvising they did, but that is, of course, a personal opinion. But anyways, all right, guys. Thanks.